Are we going over there, Amuela? Are we on live on Facebook at this time and YouTube, Torah for the Nations? We appreciate everybody who has come to be with us tonight. So I'm going to just step back a little bit before Sadaka time and let Terry Hayes greet you while I do all the preliminary computer stuff. So Terry, go right ahead. And don't forget to record, Terry. Are you recording?
No, I'm not. I forgot again.
Okay, you go ahead and greet everybody, and I'm going to do a little bit of preliminary stuff.
All righty. Greetings, everyone, for the Torah for the Nations weekly Wednesday night class. Glad to see everyone here. We've got, of course, we got Scotty and Amuela, Thomas, and Scotty's wife, Annie, is here in the Zoom room. And we've got, I don't get to see who's all in the YouTube room and, of course, on the radio station and the B'nai Noach Connection with Israel Facebook page. I want to just greet everyone. Welcome for tonight's class. Scotty got some interesting stuff he'll be bringing us here in a moment once he gets everything logged up and ready and going and everything. Tonight, if you want to grab your pens and your paper, we're going to start a small little series here. We're going to go through Psalms 145. So if you've got a Tehillim or Tanakh or your Bible, if you want to flip over to Psalms 145, I'm going to go through some preliminary stuff about the Psalm that many may not know about, and try my best to get into at least the first two verses tonight and discuss them. And also would like to ask everyone to keep Israel in your prayers. Of course, we all know what's going on over there right now. It's bad. I've got a friend of mine a Jewish friend of mine who lives in New Jersey that messaged me the other day. I was at work. He was born and raised just outside of Jerusalem. And he was talking with his parents, calling and checking on them. And he texted me and let me know that as he was on the phone with them, because they still live just outside of Jerusalem, he could hear the bombs drop. Hold on. He could hear the explosions going on in the background while he was on the phone with his parents. So just keep them in prayer. They've had a few losses, some injuries going on. It's really hard on the children. It's over there because they're young. They don't know what all's going on, and just the sounds of the rockets and the sirens that are going off. There was some good news that came through the other day. Busload full of people. I'm not sure what city they were in. A busload of people, and the sirens went off, and they got off the bus. And as they got off the bus and headed toward protection, the bus took a direct hit, but no one was hurt. So that's Baruch Hashem on that. So keep Israel and everyone in your prayers there. Scotty, how are we coming? Are you about ready?
I'm ready to do our Sadaka time.
Sadaka,
and then we'll get right into the class tonight. Again, thank everybody for coming. Those of you that are viewing us with B'nai Noach Connection with Israel, feel free to share this live stream, and we'll be kind of monitoring the comments. We're not doing it at this time, but we'll jump back over there and monitor the comments there on B'nai Noach Connection with Israel Facebook page. Also, those of you Torah for the Nation YouTube channel, those that are viewing through there, we will also do our best to monitor the comments there and the questions, and we try to bring those that are pertinent to the conversation, pertinent to the class tonight, to Terry's attention, and so that he would, if he feels free to address those tonight, he will, and if not, we'll move those to a future class. Remember, as Terry said, let's remember Israel tonight. In fact, we have a lot of people who sent Sadaka tonight to put in the Sadaka for Israel tonight, prayers for Israel. So we're going to get right into that. A new thing I heard this week, Terry, and it really moved me. You know, I always say, you know, we can take a little bit of change. I want to do two things, if that's okay, Terry. Two
Oh,
things.
you take all the time you need.
I was in a class the other night from Rabbi Cowan. Is that his name? I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that
In Australia.
Australia,
Okay.
and brought up the position of tzedakah about elevating. He was talking about praying at a table elevates that table, and I said, "What's this? You know, is it the same as with a dollar? When we give whatever change, whatever monies we give to tzedakah, it elevates that." And he said, "But let me give you a little greater than that." This was so powerful. Okay, tonight we've had people send us some money to put in the tzedakah box tonight, and he said, you know, when you put that in there, when you give that to tzedakah, you not only elevate that amount of money, but everything it took you, if it was through your job, however it was, you even elevated that your work that you put in that week to obtain that, everything you did elevated with that giving. And I thought that was powerful. I thought that was really a powerful statement. Then another one, Rabbi, you'll have to help me on his name again, Rabbi Lord Jonathan
Sachs.
Jonathan Sachs, blessed memory. I did say that correct, right, Terry? He was talking about change, how changing our life, changing us. And he made this profound statement that just sunk into my soul. I cannot change yesterday, but I can change tomorrow with everything I do today. Was that not that was powerful. So tonight we're going to change the future by giving this tzedakah. So I'm going to get straight in that. We're giving tonight for Sally. Sally, somebody sent us in some tzedakah to give for you. Also, again, Amuela, somebody sent us some tzedakah to give for you. Thomas, somebody sent us something to give for you into the tzedakah jar. Also here, Jeremy Kibbe sent a great gift tonight for the tzedakah box and said, remember Israel, what they're going to pray for Israel, what they're going through right now. We've also got Missy Thomas sent some for the tzedakah, and also she's got a brand new grandbaby, Skylar Travis Matthews. She sent in some tzedakah for blessings upon him. Also, we're giving tzedakah tonight for Rabbi Pesach Sherbo. We're giving that tzedakah, and we're giving tzedakah tonight for Rabbi Chaim Goberg. And we're also giving, I'm trying to get it in here. This thing's already filling up, Terry. And also giving tonight for Rabbi Tovia Singer. Somebody sent in something for Rabbi Tovia Singer. Excuse me. So listen, what you do today, you can't change yesterday. You can change tomorrow by what you do today. So Baruch Hashem. Terry, I'm turning it over to you.
Well, good evening, everyone. Like I said a while ago, for those who have come in since I was on a few minutes ago before Scotty, if you'll grab your pens and your paper, your Tehillim, your Tanakh, your Bible, we're going to start a small little series. Tonight we'll go through, start going through Psalms 145, Tehillim 145. As we get started, we'll bring out some information, kind of an overview of the Psalm before we actually get into it. Because some of this information, many may not know of. It's really interesting. In Hebrew, the song is called the Ashrei, it's praise. In the Jewish Siddur, the prayer book, it's prayed 3 times a day, the morning, the afternoon, and the evening prayer services. It's in the Pesukei Zazaramara, which is the songs of praise that is done before what's called the Shemona Esrei, the main body of prayer for the Jewish people. And this psalm, it's my favorite psalm. You hear me talk about it all the time. And so I thought, why don't we just go through this psalm a little bit? Let's learn something together on this psalm instead of just, reading through it. It's actually, it begins with what's called Tehillim la David. It's the only psalm or Tehillim that is listed as Tehillim or praise, because the verses embody the essence of the psalmist's passionate love and appreciation for the Creator. And in some of the sages says that the 6 Tehillim or Psalms from 145 to 50 is considered the Tehillah, the praise Psalms. The Talmud, well, let me back up. I want to share this because this is a very important part. I feel it's important. Psalms 145. It is a culmination of all of the Psalms in one psalm. When David put it together, in the Hebrew, it has 150 words, one word for each of the Psalms. He also did it alphabetically, that the first word of each of the verses begins with the next letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And I'll explain a little bit more about that here in just a few minutes. So the Talmud cites 2 elements which makes this psalm very important. First, the initial letters of the verses follow the order of the alphabet, the Hebrew alphabet. That this work is fundamental as a basic and essential as the alphabet. The alphabet's important because it's the basic element of reading and writing and speaking. The alphabetical arrangement also alludes to the fact that this psalm presents an orderly program and design for life. Its consecutive verses demonstrate how to progress towards the Creator in constant spiritual ascent. Secondly, this psalm emphasizes God's most crucial function as supplier of physical needs of all the creation. As in the verse, when we'll be getting to the verse where it says, you open your hand and satisfy the desire of every living thing. When a person recognizes that every bit of his energy and vitality is a perpetual gift of the Almighty, who constantly gives life, he will dedicate every moment of his existence to the effort to draw ever closer to the Creator. When I used to go to the synagogue in Atlanta, one of the classes I would take, down there for 2 years, the rabbi that taught the class, we went through this psalm every class. We covered this psalm. It took, the first year took just like almost a whole year to go through this psalm. And it was amazing. Of course, this was on Sabbath. I wish could have had a notebook then, but couldn't on Shabbat. But the class was just amazing going through this psalm. That's one of the things that inspired, going back thinking about that, it inspired one of me to go through this psalm. Let me see here. I think there was something I wanted to bring out from Rabbi Hirsch before I get into the first verse. Oh, another aspect of this Tehillim is the main theme of this psalm, as said, is the universal order of God, which provides for every living thing. And that's going to be important when I get into this, because I'm going to bring up a subject that I've touched on here and there. And that's the Hebrew word Emunah, because we're going to see some we're going to see some explanation of Emunah, what it consists of, really, as we get into this. The first verse says, a praise by David, Tehillah David. I will exalt you, my God, the King, and I will bless your name forever and ever. And what I'm going through is the Art Scroll Tanakh series on this verse, Tehillim. It's really good. It's a 2-volume set. This is the second volume. I know Yeoman Amwell is going to get you the link here in a minute, but you'll get 2 volumes that are like this thick on this. Is really good to have in studying the Psalms. It says, I will exalt you, my God, the King. It says, I will acknowledge your sovereignty exclusively. I will realize that all kings and rulers are under your control. You are my God, the only God I recognize, and you are the power who gives existence to the entire creation. I will exalt you under all circumstances, even when I am downtrodden. I am not like the idolaters who exalt their gods only when they prosper and curse them when they suffer. I praise you even when I experience misfortune, and I have faith that these are manifestations of divine providence and benevolence designed for my spiritual development. This is very important. This is the reason why I heard a song today on the radio. It was an older song. My coworker had classic country on, and there's an old song come up, and guy was talking about, how he had read the Bible but made mistakes and all this stuff. This is where we leave the road that most people go by. We just don't read. We need to study. We need to study the scriptures. Reading them like you're reading a book, no, you're not going to get what's there. This passage says, I will exalt you, my God, the King. This is a statement. If you pray this and you say this, you're saying that the God of Israel is your God. He is one and there is no other. It says in Psalms 145 that he is the King. In Hebrew, it is Elohei HaMelech, my God, the King. This is very important to recognize this, because as we've been talking about a few classes back on Mishpat and Tzedakah, the legal system and the duties that, the legal system that we're commanded to live by, and then the duties we are supposed to be doing as well, the righteous behavior. As I've stated in the past, the Creator is King. The kingdom has rules. And I know a lot of people in the West don't like the idea of rules, but everybody has rules. Your job has rules. Your mom and dad had rules. The Creator has rules that he wants mankind to live by. And so to be able to say this, that you'll exalt, I will exalt you, my God, the King. You are recognizing that the Creator is King and the Creator has rules. And you're going to praise him for those rules to live by. It says, and I will bless your name forever and ever. Now, as the Torah, Scotty, keep the ship still here. About to drop my book. Oh, I want to take this opportunity right here.
We almost went into overdrive.
Oh, does Warp have an overdrive? Whoa. I might have to think about that one.
I'm just trying to figure out why you dropped your book.
Oh, Scotty and I enjoy having some fun here. As the Torah scholar Roddick says, he says, I acknowledge your sovereignty exclusively. And I recognize that all kings and rulers are under your control. You are my God, the only God. I recognize that your power, that you are the power who gives existence to all creation. I will exalt you in all circumstances. Hebrew word emunah. It's translated in English as faith. Very, very poor translation once you get to know the English. It's not. In English, faith denotes belief. If you ask your your average person on the street, well, what's faith? Well, it's what I believe. No, that's not what emunah is. Because see, belief denotes also doubt. If you can believe, you can doubt. And a lot of people put a lot of weight in belief. You can believe in anything. Anybody can believe, that a basketball's square, but it doesn't make it so. But emunah in the Hebrew is based on knowledge. It's based on knowledge, the knowledge of God. It doesn't change. And what they're saying here, what the Torah scholars are saying here, is you are the power who gives existence to the entire creation. Rabbi Arush wrote this amazing book called The Garden of Emunah, and then he sold so many. And actually, I was one of the non-Jews that read his first writing back in 2008, and millions and millions of his books were sold. That he wrote a version for the non-Jewish people called The Universal Garden of Emunah. Really recommend the book. Let me see if I can get that right there. The Universal Garden of Emunah by Rabbi Shalom Arush. There are 3 levels to Emunah, and this first part of Psalms 145 here, verse 1, is actually brings up this first level. I will exalt you, my God, the King, knowing that God is sovereign, and he also provides for all his creation. The first basic level of Emunah is a firm belief, and he's using the English. This is the firm belief that everything comes from the Creator by way of perfect divine providence. Even the tiniest and most seemingly insignificant event. This is what the Creator wants. One of the advice from Rabbi Arush and also Rabbi Lazer Brody, who teach on this, it's like when you start your day, if you give that day to the Creator, so this is yours, and no matter what happens, I'll know it's your will. It's a hard thing to start doing. But understand, like when you go to work and things seem to be going right, that's the reason the Creator, what he wanted, that's his will. The second level of Emunah is, in addition to flawless basic Emunah, The next level belief is understands and knows that everything that God does is for your very best. How many times have you gone through a situation and things were like, man, I just had a real horrible day. Things didn't go right. And then like a day or two later, you find out certain things that you didn't see at the time, and it turned out to be for your very best. Everything is for your very best. And then the third level, the upper level, in addition to the basic knowledge that everything that happens is by divine providence and that everything is for your very best, that there is a purpose behind everything that God does. And a person with the upper level tries to understand the message within whatever God is doing in your life. I will exalt you, my God, the King. The first verse is admitting that your God, if your God is the God of Israel, and he is king, and there is no other. There's no other beside him. I think it's Isaiah 45. Ani Hashem va'ein od. There's only him. You will bless his name. It says, and I will bless your name forever and ever. So I will exalt you in this world and regard you as the supreme source above all laws of nature. I will bless your name in the hereafter, when it will be apparent that all physical forces are illusionary, and when the true meaning of your infallible name will be comprehended by all. It says, I will exalt you in this world and regard you as supreme source, supreme force. What's interesting is in the Hebrew word that's translated as bless, Baruch. And I'm going to have to pull this up, give it to you exactly how it says it, but I'm just going to go through from my memory, my studies here. Baruch comes from several things. The knee, the knee that is bent, and also a stream of water, like the source of all. So when you say Baruch Hashem, bless God, you're recognizing him as the source of everything. The concept of God's omnipotence and his awesome might, this is from Rabbi Hirsch, his awesome might, which none can withstand, are not alien to human hearts. It would not be foreign to us, even without David's realization, which cannot be denied, that all human action and achievement can be only limited in the scope of there is a higher power, which reigns and towers above all, which none can withstand, and which has the power to withhold and even to destroy. And we learned that when we was learning about the flood. But most men still lack the awareness and the understanding of the fact that the growth and the welfare of all living things, particularly of the affairs of mankind, is dependent solely upon the inexhaustible goodness and loving kindness of the same power, which is ready at all times to give, and that this power shows its unique nature and its true greatness precisely in the goodness and the loving kindness which grants growth and welfare. This song, Psalms 145, of the greatness of God as shown in his loving kindness, is the true gift in which this song endows to us. Now, as I was said before, this is done in alphabetical order. The first word of the first verse starts with the aleph, and then the next verse with the word that starts with the bait, and it goes on down to the Hebrew alphabet. One letter's left out. King David left out the letter Nun, because for it, in the flow of the verse, the psalm, and in the flow of everything, the letter Nun says, Rabbi Hirsch goes on, says that it was left out because it would have designated the Hebrew word, which is the falling, like man falling. All men, however, immediately, or it says, the falling of all men. However, immediately after the omission of this letter, David does mention, in a way, the falling of man, but only in the connection with the divine support which prevents this falling. God upholds those who fall, which we will eventually get to. Men are wont to the attribute of the growth and progress of their own abilities. They feel they owe their advancement and development to their own power and their own wisdom. It is only when they stumble and they fall that they recognize the finger of some higher power. To David's spirit, the opposite is true. He views the falling of man, man's own doing. Men fall because of their folly, because they are disobedient toward God. But the ability to remain upright in the midst of all of life, every moment of health and happiness, spiritual and physical development and growth, every new, free, gladsome breath they owe to the loving kindness of the Creator, who eternally provides for all living things and is ready at all times to grant new life. This greatness of God is revealed not in the death and the decay of man, but in the growth and the life. The greatness of God is revealed, again, not in the death and the decay, but in the growth of life. The word that designates the falling of man belongs to the chronicles of mankind, but David's song of the divine providence contains only the words which denotes and supports the encouragement which God in his loving kindness grants to him who is bowed down and about to fall. And he goes on and talks about Psalms 6 and 30 and 115. Tehillim. The most probable is the subscription meant to include all of the 6 Psalms, like I said before, to form one unit, Psalms 145 through 150. The content of all of them is the revelation of God's greatness through this mighty act in the general and individual aspects of his guidance and rule, through which he provides for the world and for mankind and for Israel. The psalm is dedicated to the universal providence of God. This is what we get out of the first verse. This is what we get out of the first verse. I will exalt my King. I will exalt my God, the King. I will bless your name forever and ever. As we meditate upon this, we meditate what does these words mean. We begin to recognize that God is the great provider. We didn't, as my rabbi has stated before, we didn't ask to be born. We didn't ask to be created. Therefore, it's his position to take care for us, to take care of us, in which he does. And that's what this psalm starts out discussing. Verse 2. Every day I will bless you, and I will praise you, your name forever and ever. What is interesting is the sages lines this statement up with every day I will bless you. It is similar to the passage in Psalm 68, verse 20, where it says, blessed be my master day by day. I'll bless you every day is likened unto blessed be my master day by day. In the Hebrew is Baruch Adonai Yom Yom. Anytime you see two words repeated together in the Hebrew, there's a significance behind it. One of the significance behind this particular one, as the sage, as the Torah scholar says, it says, day by day, bless him for his past kindness and anticipate his future kindness with additional blessings. Meditate on the blessings that the Creator has given you in your past and anticipate the blessings that you'll have in the future as you walk with the Creator. Rabbi Hirsch says, every day I will bless you. That is, I will dedicate myself to serve you and to fulfill your will in loyal obedience. Again, back to Elohe Hamelech, my God, the King. We will be loyal in obedience. Not just in faith or belief, but in obedience. As part of this class, we know what that is. It's the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach, for those of us that are not Jewish. These are the things that was given to Adam through Noah, down to Abraham, down through Moses, and Moses to then God reiterated it back to told Moses at Mount Sinai to write these things down and down to us from that point. Again, we have an eternal covenant, as I covered a few weeks ago, Genesis chapter 9, the Brit Olam. It is an eternal covenant for the descendants of Noah. It hasn't ended. People will look at it. Well, that means God's not going to flood us and he gives us a rainbow. Why did God flood us to begin with? See, nobody thinks of that. Did God just arbitrarily just get mad and flood? No. There were laws in place that were violated very, very badly. And God brought the flood because of the state of man's disobedience, brought him to a point that something had to be done. Matter of fact, one of the sages teaches that, the wickedness of man have come before him, that he was going to have to bring an end of all flesh. And one of the sages taught that if God had not brought the flood, man would have annihilated himself. So unable to save us, he had to take away the wicked. Well, how were they wicked if there was no rules? Abraham prayed for the righteous of Sodom. How could there have been righteous in Sodom if there were no rules? Righteousness is not by faith. Righteousness by the actions you do. And so
Terry, I'm sorry, but just before you go on.
Ahead. No, go ahead. We got plenty of time because
So I just want to maybe reword that and have you talk about that why the flood again. Man had become so wicked that if left to their own wickedness, they would have brought their own demise.
Yes, they would have brought their own demise.
And so therefore the Creator intervened
to save man. He had to, he took the righteous one, which was Noah, which the sages teach us that's who Psalms 1:1 is. Blessed is the man. It says Ha'ish. That is talking about Noah. Blessed is the man who does not walk in the way of the sinners and the mockers, and just read Psalms 1. And the sages teach us that David is telling us that Ha'ish is Noah. Noah was the righteous man in which God would rebuild the earth by.
So I'm about to ask you a question. That's what I do.
I love your questions. I look forward to them all the time.
Was the flood and the destruction of man at that time a punishment or a preservation?
Both.
And I know you've already been stating that, but can you just float that through? Punishment and preservation.
Well, as we say, God is king. This is his kingdom, his rules. I'm going to give you a physical example. Right after the birth of our first daughter, we were moving. My mom and dad had moved back to Kentucky, and we were following them, but they went first. So when we moved, we had to move in with them for about a month until we got us a place to live. I was in my 20s. I was married. I had a baby. The first night we were there, my dad, he pulled me aside and said, "Son, I know you're a grown man, but this is my house. My house rules haven't changed. You will be in at a certain time. Lights will be out at a certain time. This is my house, my rules. They haven't changed. Regardless of how you've grown up and have your own family, you're in my house." Folks, we're in God's house. His rules hasn't changed. Man has tried to change them. The sons and the daughters have thrown their tantrums, but God's laws hadn't changed. They're here. Well, when a child gets to a certain point in his disobedience, those of us in the South, we know what the sound of a leather belt sounds like coming through some belt lights, belt straps. Something is about to happen. There's going to be a correction that is being brought. And the flood was a spanking that mankind brought on himself. He got to the point to where if God had not corrected the child would have killed himself. So in order to save the creation of man, Noah, Genesis chapter 6, verse 9, righteous, moral, and he walked with God, is who he chose to rebuild creation with. Noah technically was the new Adam. He was the man who did not sit in the way of the sinners or walk in the way of the sinners. Scott, you want to read Psalms 1 or 2 verses right there? Sorry, I threw that on you. Scotty wasn't expecting that.
No, while I'm looking for it, I'm gonna try to do it off my head. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor sitteth in the way of sinners, or sitteth in the seat of the scorner. Standeth in the way of sinners, or sitteth in the seat of the scorners. But his delight is in the law
Of God.
of God, and in his law doth he meditate.
Day and night. And the law is Torah. In the Hebrew is
I
Torah.
do it right. I think I did it right.
You did an amazing job, right? Really good. Noah meditated on, there were six commandments that came down from Adam. Prohibition of idolatry. It's only one God, no other God. Though Enosh tried to bring idolatry in. We don't curse God. Prohibition of theft, prohibition of murder, prohibition of forbidden sexual relations, and establishing a legal system to make sure these laws are upheld. Those are the 6 that came down from Adam. Those are the things that Noah meditated on day and night. Those are the 6 rules that saved mankind, because one man understood that this was God's house. And he walked with God. It says several times that Noah did everything that God commanded him to do. And so when we see this here in this passage, every day I will bless you and I will praise your name forever and ever. When we bless him through our obedience. When we're obeying him. And that's what Rabbi Hirsch was bringing out here. He says, I will dedicate myself. I will bless you means I will dedicate myself to serve you and fulfill your will in loyal obedience. So now, as we're building this verse, I'm just going to go through the first 2 verses tonight. Verse 1, I will exalt you, my God, the King. There's only one God, one King. This is his house. And he provides for that house. He is the breadwinner, per se, if we want to put it in human terms, of that house. And then verse 2 says, I will bless you. I will bless you. Wrong one. I will bless you. Every day I will bless you and I'll praise your name forever and ever. And we bless him because now we know he's king. We will bless him by obeying the kingdom rules, the house rules. If we want to put it that way, just like my dad told me, my house rules are the same, whether you were 15 or now that you're in your 20s with a child and a wife, rules hadn't changed. And that's the same for us. God is king. God's God. It's his house. His rules hadn't changed. And we will bless him. We'll recognize his sovereignty and we will bless him through our obedience. And that's what we get in the first 2 verses. Y'all probably didn't expect that. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Scotty.
I want to throw something in about that meditate day and night. Years ago, even before I began to indulge in the Hebrew textual support of that text, I looked up everything I could find on meditate, and that word, and it made it more fulfillment even after seeing it in the Hebrew definition of it. Gives explanation. If people ever are around me and hear me talking to myself, that position of talking to oneself is in that word meditate. We have to sometimes talk to ourselves. Okay, is this right? Does this line up? Does it? And so that meditate means you're talking to yourself. You're going over, what do I need to do here? What is my position? So anyway, that's the word is soliloquy. I don't know if you've ever heard that word, but soliloquy, it means that you talk to yourself, even though you're in a crowd. It's as if you're all alone with the law of the Creator, even though there's hundreds of things going on around you. That soliloquy, that meditate, means that you can drown out all of that stuff and discuss the law of the Creator on what you need to do. I just want to throw that in.
Right. And that's what Noah did day and night. As he pondered these rules and how it affected every aspect of his life. How can we do that today? How can we do that today? Well, I'll give you an example. I wasn't raised with the understanding of the original path that God had for mankind. And when I learned, and I'm talking about in my infancy days of learning, and I committed to the Creator that I would do these. I would live by this. And like normal, the Creator throws a test, your direction. And I had one. It's simple. Some people may think it's crazy, but it was a test. My wife and I were selling a house and going to move into an apartment for a while because we knew we wanted to get moved down here into the Chattanooga area. And we just needed to get out of the house and the commitment to the mortgage for a while. So we'd stopped at a filling station and how you go in, they got all the little free local little bitty papers there. So, and for apartments and houses and real estate books that are free. And so I'd stop and went in and I got a few, got back to the car, and in the middle of them was this little trader magazine that just somebody, I guess, they put in there. And instead of putting it in its right place, they put it in with this free stuff, and I'd picked it up. It was 99 cents. For most people, they would have probably thought, I'm done already back in the vehicle and I'm about to go. It's just 99 cents. Who's going to miss that? Well, I've been learning about the laws of theft. And the right thing to do is not to take that which is not mine, I did not pay for. I could have went. That's not why I was there. I was there to get the free magazines for apartment hunting and things like that. So I went inside and I put it in its proper place where it was supposed to be instead of where I gotten it from. Then I came out, and as Scotty was saying, talking to yourself, I stopped on the sidewalk, and I thank the Creator for allowing me to notice what I had done. It was a mistake, but I would have committed theft if I decided to keep it. So I thanked him for one, that he had showed me his law and how important it was, no matter how little the situation. 99 cents is nothing. Nobody would have probably ever missed that. But no, you go in, you do what is right, and you do like Sky says, maybe you can take a little bit of time, talk to yourself, talk to God. Thank you for showing me what is the right way to live as someone who's living in your kingdom, who's confessing that you are my God. If you don't live like that, then he is not your God. You're making a lie. If you're not living according to the commandments of God, and if you call God, your king, you're lying. You're living in falsehood, and that's dangerous too. And I'm sorry, it's a little strong, but it's just, I have to tell you the truth. Because of a 99-cent magazine, I was tested on the prohibition of theft, because the same penalty for that 99-cent magazine would have been if it had been $1 million. Theft is theft, regardless of the amount. And there is a punishment for that. But if you learn to catch yourself, talk to yourself, like Scotty just said, ponder these things, even if you haven't returned it yet. Argue with yourself about this. Is this the right thing to do? My king is watching me, and he's going to know my decision. This is where I will bless you every day. I will exalt you every day. And I'm not saying kudos for me, but that day I blessed and exalted God by keeping his commandments, his commandment of not theft. Now, some other time I probably have failed and I've learned from that. But that day I learned, because I was still an infant in learning that this is what God expects of me. So he gave me an infant kind of test. And we have to be ready, like Psalms 1 is, we got to be ready to recognize when these tests come about so we can work on them, meditate on them, ponder them, discuss them, and make the correct decisions. Go ahead, Scotty.
You can see I'm just sitting on the edge of my seat here. My
That's
chair's
fine.
about to scoot out from under me. So you said a couple of things, and one, first of all, the Creator is with us all the time.
Right.
Many people in the Western world, and that's the only ones I can bring up at this time because that's the ones I'm most associated with.
Where we live.
Many people in the Western world around us feel that the only time that the Creator is aware of their existence is if they pray just right or they're in their type of worship facility. But that's not the case at all. He is with us all the time, correct? We have to know that.
King David believed Tehillim, Psalms 139. Whether I ascend to heaven, you are there. Whether I make my bed in hell, there you are there, which show the grave. And what's interesting is the second part is the one that you do. It's your fault. If I make my bed in the pit. If I make my bed in the pit, if I cause the issue for me to be in a low place, you are still there. And like Rabbi Rush teaches, or Rabbi Nachman of Breslov of blessed memory, he says, all it does is the simplest whisper to the Creator, and you're immediately turning yourself around. You're making teshuvah, you're making repentance. Even if you make your bed, you know, the old saying, we're here in the South, you made your bed, now lay in it.
Yeah.
King David's recognizing that. He says, if I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed, if I totally mess up and I make my bed and I'm having to lay in it, you're there. You can't get away from his presence, whether you're at a spiritual height or you're at a very spiritual low.
So that is so awesome. Okay. Can I take you to another point of something you said?
Go ahead.
You talked about taking the magazine and this scenario. I'm not going to go into it tonight, but something that came before me that I did. But let me see if I can. Okay, let's say you are okay. Taking the magazine, that is a form of robbery. That's open robbery
Or form of theft. Because I took it without the owners knowing I took it.
Okay. And now
even though it was a mistake, I still took it.
I want to see if you can explain another position. Let's say I'm just giving you a scenario. Let's say I'm standing in line and fixing to pay for some groceries, and I'm going to use small amounts here. Okay. Let's say somebody in front of me, a lady with some children, and she does not have enough money to pay for the food for the children. She thought she did. She's short. And I'm standing behind her, standing behind them. And I get this feeling of tzedakah. I need to give and pay for this. And I do not. What category does that fall under?
Oh boy, you asked the hard ones now. Well, it's not theft because you didn't take anything. It's not robbery. You didn't violently take anything. But you could have. Well, we talked about Sodom the other day. What's Ezekiel 16 says this is the sin of your sister Sodom, that she was basically, wealthy, full of bread and wealthy and but she failed. She failed to strengthen the hand of the needy and the poor. Sodom had the opportunity to make sure that those who are in need, their needs were met and the poor was taken care of. If you had the unction within you that duty to help out, and you had the means, the resources to strengthen the hand of the needy of the need of that person, and if you failed to do the duty, and you knew, you knew that you could do it, but then you decide not to. It's not like something that you didn't see it happen, but this time you saw it happen, but you chose not to do it. Then you made the sin of Sodom. You failed to strengthen the hand of the needy.
I just want to throw that into that.
Now, I'm not saying like if you're in line, you're oblivious, you're blind to the situation, you're not held accountable to what you're blind to. But if your eyes are open to it, and the Creator's giving you the resources, He's giving you that unction, that thing in your knower that every one of us has got to do something, and we fail to do our duty, then we sin. Remember, we talked about mishpat and tzedakah.
Yes.
The law, the legal system that we are commanded to do, and tzedakah, the duties that are not commanded, but they're obligated duties. You failed to do your duty. You've just done the sin of Sodom. You failed to lift up the hand of the needy when it was within your power to do so. That's so many people are, and including ourselves, like we discussed a couple of weeks ago. We in our minds, we're taught sin is the transgression of the law. Sin is also the transgression of your duties.
Right.
That is not law. I hope that's okay.
I think you done a great job explaining that. Great job. Sorry I throwed that on you, but
no. This is such important stuff. Our world right now is upside down. Our world is bad upside down. Why are we upside down? Because no one's teaching this stuff to the average person.
Right.
No one's bringing it to their attention that there is a king, and we're in his house, and he has house rules, and no one's talking about the rules. They're talking about religions. They're talking about constitutions of nations. But they're not talking about the rules that God wants everybody to live by. And it's so simple. This world could be righted back on its feet if we would all understand that every human being is created in the image of God. And however we treat that person, we treat God's image. It's that important.
And is it the same? I'm this my mind, so I'm going to have to go ahead and no, me,
I'll rattle on. So you go.
Now I'm going to get you on something else here too. When you walk, I'm going to use the terminology walking with the Creator, with the understanding that He is with you, around you all the time. Not a dictator, but He is with you all the time. Today, I saw a vehicle. I'm going to be courteous as I say this. On the back of the vehicle was a bumper sticker, as we here in the Western world have thousands of them, that was proclaiming their deity, that they walk with their particular deity. And at the same time, not once, not twice, not three times, but I would dare say more than six, they were throwing garbage out of their window.
Violating Everman High.
So, I mean, this is so, if we could just walk in that meditation you were talking about, knowing, but I don't want to get on what they were doing, but it's our, and it's more than an opportunity to change our society. It's a responsibility.
Yes, it's a duty.
The duty. Yeah.
It's our duty, because just like littering. And someone's like, how is that violating every man chai? Every man chai don't eat the meat of a living animal. How's that violating that? It's violating the sub-commandment. See, it's categorical. What it teaches us in its philosophical meaning is that we got to take care of the creation and not harm it. And throwing stuff out the window, letting someone else pick up your trash. You're not caring about those people who are out picking up the trash, but you're not caring about the creation. God gave you this and you're just throwing trash on it. Then that means you don't care. You don't care about this world.
That's one of the great things walking with the Creator will do, is cause you to care.
It calls you to care for this world, care for another human being, and care for the creation. As what we was it a week or two ago, we talked about what it really meant to love your fellow as yourself, is to find out what your fellow's needs are and meet those needs. Well, what's the opposite? What is that opposite?
Opposite of caring?
What is the opposite of not meeting your fellow's needs?
Oh,
throwing trash out the window.
Yeah.
Because you're not caring about who's got to pick that up. You're not caring what it's going to look like when someone's driving down the road and they've got to see this. I mean, now that I live out on the main road, I'm constantly picking up Red Bull, cans and McDonald's bags out of my yard, because no one cares about my needs. If they cared, they wouldn't do that. And that's why we are in an upside down world. No one cares but to themselves.
Yeah.
And the mitzvot of the Creator all depend on how we treat one another.
Exactly.
Every one of them. Every one of them is how we treat one another. If we could just learn the kingdom rules, begin to live by them, we can right this ship.
Everything has a.
If not, it's never mind. I'm not going to go.
No, I was going to let you preach then. I could tell that preacher's on you. Everything has a trickle down effect, good or bad. Everything has a trickle down effect. If you do a smallest amount of good, it will trickle into great.
There's actually a truth behind the butterfly effect. And what I was saying, if not, as the beautiful and awesome Torah scholars of Israel has told us, Sodom lays in waste today as an example before us all of what not caring for one another and only looking out for yourself brings you. He didn't bring floodwaters. He brought fire from heaven. And we know they did. We know some of the sins that they did, but the one that's listed in Ezekiel 16, the prophet says the sin of your sister Sodom was that they did not strengthen the hand of the needy nor the poor. And because they did not do that those 5 cities are nothing but dust today. Thousands of years later, they are there for our example. If you don't do what you're supposed to do, this is where you're going to end up.
Yeah.
It's not a bedtime story. It's not a Sunday school class. It's not a feel-good sermon. It's an example. Do what is right, or this is where you're going. I'm Scotty, you got me going tonight. And yes, Psalms 145. If you're going to exalt God and call him your God, your king, then you don't want to go the way of Sodom.
Correct. Exactly. You'll be meditating.
Right. And I hope from now on, when you look at Psalms 1, you think of Noah. That this is what he did. He was Ha'ish, the man. And he was the righteous one in which God would restart creation.
Yeah. Okay, Terry, great class. I got something I need to do real quick, if that's okay. Thomas had to leave. Thomas had to leave, and he sent me a message that his mother's in the hospital, and it's not looking very well. So I want to give Sadaka right now for her and for him and whatever the Creator has in store for there. So let's just keep them.
Keep Thomas's mother.
Yeah.
In your prayers, please.
And she's in Michigan and he's down here. And of course his daughter's up there taking care of his mother. And so he's anyway, he just got a call from the doctor. So that's the reason he had to leave.
Going to try to get up there somehow, or
I don't know. We'll see what happens and try to fix that up. So, okay. All right.
Anything else, Scotty?
I believe that's it, Terry. I believe that's it. There's been comments come in, but they've been great comments. And so it's not really question wise, anything questionable, this mostly on the radio, great teaching. So, and on the other, I think that we have quite a few listening. So they've really enjoyed it, Terry. I've enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
God willing, we'll continue with verse 3 next week and see how far we get. This is a powerful, very powerful psalm.
Yeah.
To pray and to meditate. There's some things that the sages have said that I'll bring out later. That I won't bring up here at the first, but it's such a powerful psalm that Israel has made it a staple of their prayers every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, Terry, you want me to bring it to a close?
We can bring it to a close, sir. We'll end a little early tonight.
All right.
Go too long some other times.
That'll give them time to go over there and start reading on Psalms 145. Remember, those of you that are watching by B'nai Noach Connection with Israel, share that video, and we would greatly appreciate it. Rabbi Pesach would greatly appreciate it. Those of you that are watching on YouTube, Torah for the Nations, like the video, share it, and we thank you so much for coming and being with us here at this particular time. We also want to thank Yeoman Asher. She's taking care of some stuff there on the computer with us too. I'm going to just quit looking at some of it. I'm just going to monitor other things and let her do all of the. I went over to Facebook and I was going to post that book. She posted it here first, and I was going to go over there and post it, and she done beat me over there. About the time I posted it, she done posted it, and I thought, well, watch her go. So Yeoman Asher, she's on it. So thank you so much.
Hey, she knows how to operate that turbo lift.
I reckon so. And of course, my wife, I really appreciate her, and Wendell, and you'll have to help me. Yerachimel. Did I say that correctly? Can you see Yerachimel? He's there. He knows who I'm talking about. So, okay. And all right, we will see everybody next week right here on B'nai Noach Connection with Israel and Facebook page and Torah for the Nations YouTube channel. And those of you that desire to come into the Zoom room, you can come into the Zoom room, just follow the link and be right here with us live. Remember Israel in your prayers this week, and we will see you next week right here at the same time, 8 p.m. New York time, Eastern Standard Time.
Yes.
See you later. Bye-bye.